Welcome back to codingcat.dev, where we give you cats the freshest dose of dev snacks. Here is Alex Patterson and Brittany Postma. This episode brought to you by Storyblok. Build anything and publish everywhere. Brought to you by Jamstack Conf. Come join us in San Francisco on November 6th and 7th. Register at jamstack.org. What up, everybody?
Woohoo!
Oh, I got the main stage camera.
Yeah, maybe we should back it up for a minute. Ooh,
We're all here.
that's a lot before you jump into it. Isn't it?
Right. I felt very important.
Yeah.
I like how formal your name is, Demetrius. I don't think I've.
I didn't know.
called
I
you
didn't
that
know if I
ever.
should. Now I feel left out. Maybe I should have put my freaking @name. But
I
it's
think
kind of
you-
the same.
I think you
anyway.
can still change it.
Can I
if you
change
Yeah,
want.
I think so.
I've had people change it midway through.
Yeah, he did the full thing instead of just Dom. But just
Yeah.
don't, what is it? Don't call you Dominic. Is that the
Well, it's like, first of all, like everybody only ever knew me as Demetrius, and then I let people start calling me Dom because I was like, oh, you know what? My name allows for it. And then people I went to high school with were like, yo, Dominic. And I'm like, I've known you for a decade. How do you not know what my name is? So now I have to lead with the full name so that people know first, and then we can backtrack to Dom.
Okay. So you gotta be friends first.
Right,
You
exactly.
got it.
I think we've got a website for you, apparently. Dom.com.
Dom.com.
Say that 5 times fast.
Dom.com, 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 Dom.com.
It sounds like Cookie Monster.
Yep, welcome to having Demetrius on your stream.
This is great.
How do I change my frick? Oh, there it is.
So-
It's worse because my handle is just my full name. So there's my government.
For those who don't know, Brittany works at NLFI, and so Dom also works at NLFI. You haven't been fired or anything.
You asked that like question.
Say it so questioningly, like I guess I work at Netlify too. Okay.
Okay, he came in pretty fired up today about his perfect pick, so I'm gonna preface it that way.
I didn't even know there was a perfect pick. You fired me up. This is all your fault. And then she played the He-Man video, which all of you
Whoa,
are gonna
whoa!
see.
Don't give it away.
Oh, we
spoiling.
just
I'm spoiling.
spoilers.
I'm spoiling.
Whoa!
What movies
Whoa.
have you not watched? I'm spoiling those next.
Oh my gosh, we can't even get started on that. I don't want spoilers for movies. So
Oh,
Dom,
Yeah.
we're here to talk about growing as DXE and building dev communities. How do you know about building dev communities?
Yeah, I mean, actually, funny enough, it started with my passion for video games. So I used to build gaming communities growing up a ton, and like had no idea that would ever turn into something that I could use professionally. I was just, trying to play video games with a bunch of other nerds. So eventually, like I was running a community at one point when I was like probably a teenager, and it was like upwards of like 5,000 members across the world that we would just do like tournaments and stuff like that. So I got really early knowledge on like what not to do, which was like, I remember we had like a Facebook group, and I wanted to move to a website. I wanted to centralize where people would be. I had like a whole forum WordPress site set up when I was younger. I had no idea what web dev was. Set that up, and everyone hated me for doing so. Everyone was like, I'm staying here on Facebook. So I learned really early, like, how important it is to listen to your community, like what it's like to actively, like, it's hard to be so present in a community that it grows. So I learned really early how to do those things. And then when I got into, I went to a boot camp very early, probably like six years ago, when boot camps were like just coming out. And one of the things that they do at boot camps is they always have those the like alumni Slack channels that you join. And so I decided, like instead of a bubble where I only talk to people who have went to this boot camp, how do I open this up and find out perspectives from people all around the world that are going to all of these different boot camps? Hack Reactor was like a huge camp at the time, and like they were pumping numbers out. They, their curriculum was really cutting edge. And so I decided, like, let's make a super alumni channel where all folks who have went to all of these different boot camps can come together, share experiences. I also wanted to see for myself, like, am I going to be able to get a job while these other people are also looking? So I built Bootcamped, which was actually my first job / startup that I had ever done in tech. I ended up meeting with Sean Bullock, who was a senior architect, I believe, at one of the credit bureaus. And he had seen kind of my ability to gather people, and Bootcamp had grown to like 2K members really quickly. through posting on like LinkedIn and stuff. And I still was trying to find a job at the same time with Ruby on Rails, which no one was hiring for.
Oh, look, Anthony just said.
Yep. See, exactly. So like, I'm out here, like the little kid, like, please, can I have a job? And everyone's like, yeah, no, I'm super good on that. Please go away. So I'm like, okay, like, let's build this startup. Community's going great. Met Sean. He was building a curriculum for teaching folks out of boot camps how to do algorithms and like coding challenges and stuff like that. So that went on for about a year. And then I decided during that year to teach myself JavaScript and React. Then went on to build React-Adelphia, which was like the React meetup in Philly that I built with a phenomenal organizing team for about 3 years.
That thing was huge, right? Like how many people?
I mean, we were 100 people in person every month, and then another 70 to 100 online. And we were doing one of our big like claims to fame with React-Adelphia is we live streamed our event before anybody else was. We were one of the very early, like we had a whole AV set up at the office that I was working at. So it's funny, we had a laptop set up on stage so that the people that were calling in could see the
nice
people that were there. Because back then, like people weren't as excited to give talks remotely.
Right, before COVID, like nobody thought they needed to.
Nobody thought they needed to. They would just fly out. And I was like, because you got to think like when you think of the East Coast, you think of New York, right? Like, like that is the first big tech company city that you're looking at. Philly really only has one large tech company. Like we have a few like scattered, like we have Urban Outfitters out here and a couple other good ones. But like Comcast is really the huge like tech hub out here. So I really wanted to do like my job in uplifting all of the great Philadelphian tech leaders that I had met. But I also wanted to grow their audience while at the same time educate the people that were coming to the meetup. So I think actually one of my first people that were there was Jason. Jason was one of the first people to agree to come and give a remote talk for us. And I think we had Kyle Shevlin and Ali Patel. So it's like we had these really, really big names show up next to these people who, don't have that much of a following in Philly. So then I kind of learned a little bit more about building tech communities like in person, what that would look like. And that was when I first started doing Discord communities, was with React-Adelphia. So it's just kind of been like a wild ride since then. I've done a couple of like paid contracts with companies like Orbit, Apollo, helping them set up for GraphQL Summit when we all went remote. That was one of my big claims to fame was I was really just the Discord community guy. Like that's what everybody knew. I think it's funny. We were at Remix Conf. Somebody came up to me like, aren't you the Discord guy? I was like, I never knew I was, but that is me.
The Discord guy. I love it.
I'll take it.
We've even got Panic at the Discord, apparently.
Nikki
I think we could throw that music together pretty easy.
I chimed in with the Haven't You Channels Ever Heard Of? I could do it.
Oh, look at this.
I can do it.
You have so many more talents I didn't know about.
Right.
They're all just like in a bag of tricks that I just wait to pull out.
Oh, okay. So that kind of covered like a crazy amount of communities. When we come back, I want to talk about what the heck a DXE is.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Sweet. All right.
We know that creating content can be a tedious balancing act. Developers want flexibility to make seamless digital experiences, while content teams need the tools to work independently. We make changes and are left to watch everything fall apart. We met our limits using plugin after plugin and waiting weeks for edits. All for this. We knew it was time to rebuild the blocks. Storyblok gives marketers creative control and use a visual editor to actually see what they're doing. And developers are no longer restrained to a set of technology. Storyblok has made it simple for each market with localization and personalization tools, and allows you to publish content on all channels and all devices. Truthfully, we all wanted the same thing: to deliver the right information to the right destination at the right time.
Jamstack Conf is back in person, and we are going all out. Come meet the people who are building the future of web development, from the minds behind Dino and Netlify to the open source builders working on Astro, Solid, 11D, Angular, and more. Ask questions about what's coming to the modern web directly to the people building it. Hang out with fellow web devs and have fun connecting to the community in a gorgeous rooftop setting. Taking place November 7th and 8th in the heart of San Francisco. Jamstack Conf is a celebration of web development that includes more than 30 speakers, 40 booths, and hundreds of developers, and a few more surprises. Don't miss out and get your ticket or check out the agenda now on jamstack.org/conf. We can't wait to see you there.
All right, Dom, as I promised, what the heck is a DXE?
That's a loaded question.
So for all those joining us right now, we're talking about DXE and dev communities, and Dom is going to explain what a DXE is. What's the acronym?
Developer experience engineer, which is like every company kind of treats this role differently. Does it fall under the DevRel umbrella? You know, how does it like? What does that look like? Is it developer marketing? You know, whatever. To me, like if you were to give me a team and say build a DXE team from scratch, I think it would be a lot around what we're starting to focus on back again in Netlify internally, which is like, you know, there's so many parts of the developer experience journey that your community hits, and I think one of the most foremost things that you will deal with as a developer experience engineer is knowing how to kind of connect the product to the community and then back. And I think that gets lost along the way of like developer marketing and the ways that communities are built, you know, around a funnel. Like there's just so many ways that it can get misconstrued, but like at the epicenter of what a DXE should do is really like decoding the really hard internal messaging and product launches and finding where that meets the people that we're actually trying to serve. I think a lot of the time companies get caught up in the journey to enterprise, which is fine. You know, that's how companies make money. That's how it works. But at the end of the day, like when you have especially a product that's free, right? Like that builds into tiers, you have to find how that journey fits. And I think when you're a product marketing team or a PM on a marketing team or even a developer within a product launching like pillar, you don't have as much time anymore to spend time building your connections out in the wild in the community. And, you know, we see it all the time. I think one of the best examples I have of somebody who still does that is Maya Shavin. Shavlin? Shavin?
I always mess with her last name.
I believe it's Maya Shavin.
I just go with Maya.
So yeah, Maya is one of those people who does it all and impresses the absolute hell out of me. But not everybody can handle that level of working internally, building internally, and also externally. So we kind of alleviate that pain in a few ways, right? So we get to handle product launches as customer zero, which is like I think one of the most important pieces of being a DXE. Catching early bugs, finding ways that don't make sense, asking the beginner questions that only a beginner can ask, right? Like when you've got an entire team dedicated to a piece of your product, they know that thing in and out, and they no longer have the perspective of somebody who's coming at this from fresh eyes. And I think that's like a huge piece of what is really important. So getting your DXEs to work alongside your product engineering teams is like such a huge bonus for your organization. And then on the other side of that, once you do have the experience and the technical acumen to like start to describe the product in a way that they would expect, you now can meet the community and say, hey, like I now have a better understanding. What does this look like to you? You can gather feedback. You can do product, testing sessions, product feedback sessions, like in a much more controlled environment because they already trust you. And that is one of the big things as a DXE. If you're not building trust within your community, how are they ever going to trust the thing that you're trying to sell them isn't just trying to sell them something, right? Like Nader Dabit was one of my big early kind of influences in how he thought about DX, because he was always like the big piece of building as somebody who's in the public eye so often is consistently building on your trust. And when somebody hires you as a DXE or DevRel or whatever the hell your company calls it, they're literally buying your social credit. Yeah. They're buying the amount of trust that you have built up in the community that people will listen to you and want to learn from you. And so like keeping a balance of, I'm never going to sell you a product that I don't think is going to help you. If someone else's product is going to do better, I don't care if I work at Netlify. I'm going to tell you that might be a good alternative for you, because that is how you trust me. And not by throwing you into this slide of problems that you're going to get into when I know that they exist. Putting you into a position to succeed is how you're going to come back. Whether or not you use our product now, you're going to go, oh, I need this now. I know I can go to Dom for this. And that's such a huge part of, like, I think what being a DXE means.
How do you balance out, like, my biggest struggle, like, when you're in the DevRel space, I think you hit on it. Like, how do you avoid all the marketing pitches and all the sales pitches, but still, like, propped up that thing that you're selling, essentially?
Yeah.
Like, you're excited about it and you're passionate about it and you're building the community, and that's the part that you love to do. But then there's, oh yeah, this thing that I still need to, like, get into the people's hands. Like,
yeah,
it feels weird at times.
I think one of the biggest, I am a stick in the grass DXE. Like, I will stop and cause a ruckus for my community. Like that is one of the things that when I started taking over the Jamstack community, one of the reasons people were even excited is because they knew that I was going to do everything in my power. Like, if you're gonna fire me over caring about my community, then do that, right? Like, that's where I'm at. Like, I'm at the point where, you know, I've been in this industry for 6 years now. I've been a DXE for 3 of them. I know the community. I know what they want to hear, and I'm not willing to balk at my social credit just so that you can get a sale. I really want, if there's a way for me to meet both in the middle, I want to create that. And I'm so passionate about, like, the idea that we don't have, developer marketing is a real thing, right? Like, that should exist, because you have to find people where they are. Like, it is not something I want to discredit by any means. It's not what I do. And if you're hiring me to do that, you miscommunicated somewhere along the way what your expectations were of me, because I would have declined that, because I don't think I actually enjoy building community professionally as much as I did as an open source. Just because you do then have to start to compromise around the level of which you're willing to start pushing the narrative, right?
Yeah, totally.
And that's everywhere. Like, it's not like it changes at whatever. It's always going to feel that way. And that's why I kind of am really excited that I transitioned back to doing DXE stuff, because now I spent a year. The only Netlify product stuff that I learned was stuff that I would go out and force myself to learn, because I never had any overlap with needing to teach people those types of things. So, you know, when I would do the Jamstack stuff, you know, we would want to talk about Netlify. And I was always like, you know, let's make sure that it actually is meeting the community before we start marketing inside of the Discord or to the community, because it's just, we need to know, and a lot of companies have a hard time with this. We need to know that when we are starting to hit those funnels, which you have to do, right? Like, a funnel has to be happening when you are trying to make money at a company. When you start to hit those funnels, are people blindsided? And I want to do, like, my biggest thing in probably the roles that I've been in is how do I become the blocker from the blind side of community members, and how do I make it so that internally they understand how important it is to listen to the people that are using their product, even if they're not paying customers. And I think that's what I've loved about being at Netlify. I think that Netlify does really understand the community that it serves. I think that's one of the big things that Netlify has always done. Like, from an outside perspective, even before I worked here, I just really respected the way that they, you know, marketed, and the way that they, you know, things are going to rapidly change because money is needed always. But I think they stay very closely to the integrity of where they began. And you can't say that for every company.
I agree with that. And I've always felt, before I started at Netlify, before I was a DXE, I thought that the developer experience at Netlify was like the epitome of what DX should look like. Yeah. And I thought that was because they had these great developer experience engineers that were like inside of these toolings that you're building out, and you make sure that those are good before they roll out to the public, and you make sure that they're good for the community. And then they're also in the communities giving talks, like showing us how to use these things. And it was just all kind of flowed well together and produced this great DX. And I'm so excited for where we're going back to that too. So
how do you compare, Brittany? I'm kind of curious, because you do a lot with this Svelte community too. Like, how do you compare, like, the Netlify stuff you're doing professionally versus the Svelte stuff? Like, is there a comparison at all?
Well, there's overlap.
Yeah,
a lot of overlap. So if I use SvelteKit and I show, So I get tagged on issues on like Adapter Netlify for SvelteKit, and I'll relay those back to my teams. So I have like the connections from the community, knowing their pain points. I can relay that back to the right places inside of Netlify and help my community by doing those things.
You are a liaison. Like that's like a lot of your job is that binding communication that you can set up. And then I think you really get pushed into a level where you start to care so much about finding the answers for those people, because now you have the access.
Yep.
Like I no longer am just somebody who's like, I'll find out. Let me go talk to somebody who works there. I am the person who works there. Yeah. You are the person who works there. It allows you to, especially in such a, it's weird. Like, working for Cloudinary, right? It's one product within a space that it's not limited. Media is huge, but you're building within media. With Netlify, it's an ecosystem of all the web tools, of all the frameworks. So you're like, you get to pick your niches and all of that, but you also have to open your horizon up into tools you haven't used yet, and then you get this fresh perspective that a lot of your community is feeling at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys deal with like comparisons, like with Vercel, let's say? How do you handle it as a DXE? Like, you don't want to put them down, or you just trash them through the mud? Like, what does that look like?
Absolutely not.
Loaded question.
That was loaded. No trash
answer.
talking. Go for it.
I think that in our industry, right, like there's going to always be like a level of overlap that you start to feel with competition. And I think competition, like the way that people set us up, with Vercel is a healthy one. Like, it puts us into a position where if a good thing happens on either side, it's going to continue to push the web forward. It's going to continue to push the experience of others forward. So like, is there really any need to I talk to Lee still. Like, me and Lee are very cool. Like, I think that I've had a phenomenal experience with a lot of the people that have worked at Vercel. So, I mean, I don't care where you work at the end of the day. Like, it's never, I find a lot of the time we see too much of the like combative conversation on Twitter, but that's just because it's a focal point of where we look at conversation. Like, if we all weren't working from home and had all of this time, like we wouldn't see all of these things as blatantly as we do now. And I think that people are also in a really weird space anymore, right? Like, people are feeling more, it's really personal for a lot of people, like I am somebody who, like, I don't give a absolute shit what anybody uses. Like, it's never going to make me think less of you. I don't think that you're a bad coder or a better coder for this or that. Like, can I learn from you? Like, that's most of the time what I think. And I don't know. I think that's just a much more fun way of being a part of this community and industry.
I do look at kindness and how you treat other people too. So that is a part of it. But I mean, I hate the trash talking, and I just build the web better together. Like, we don't need to be separate.
Yeah. And it's going to happen.
The challenging part, like, coming out of all of that though, is there's still this thing at the end that there's a product you have to sell. And that's the part that always like drives me crazy, is like, yeah, we can all like spout out love and like, let's build the web together, which I'm all for. But at the end of the day, like, we are building something too. So it's challenging as like a DXE to say, yeah, Vercel's great, Netlify is great, but I'm building the next like CDN and it's amazing. Like, having that,
you have to show how you're different, right?
Yeah, that's
competition also breeds pushing things for like that. That's what I mean, though, is that like, you look at even all the frameworks, right? Like, so many frameworks battle with each other. It's always a thing. But like, what we've been seeing more often lately is now like, oh wow, your framework is implementing this that way. Maybe that could make mine better. Like, it's people get so tightly, wound around the thing that they're building, because it does feel personal. Yeah. It's your thoughts. It's the way you build things. Like, people are going to have opinions. I remember when I first started doing UI engineering, and I would get like nitpicks on my PR, and I'd be like, okay. But now it's like, it's just like, it can be much more of a learning process, and people forget that. And you're totally right, Brittany. Like, if you're starting to treat people like shit online, I don't care about interacting with you. Like, whether or not I had a good experience with you or not, like, that's a lone experience. And I think a lot of the time what we see is a lot of angry white dudes flinging mud at each other. And it's like, I don't care about any of that. So like, keep that way over there. If you want to be angry and spewing, this toxic way to build your following, it's another thing I've never cared about. I don't care about building my following. I don't care about numbers. I don't care about all of that extra crap. And like, yeah, I mean, does it feel great when I put out a video and people follow me? Sure. But I'm never like, I don't need the following to build my career and to build who I am as an engineer. I've spent a lot of time I want to personally connect with the people that follow me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a 60,000 following of people who are just going to rip on everything that I say at all times. I want people to connect with me in a way where if I put something out that's stupid, right?
Yeah.
When they reach out to me and they're like, hey, dude, like, let's rethink that. I can take their feedback much more, seriously than
genuinely.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. I completely agree. I never want like followers just to have followers.
It doesn't, like, so many people build up their 100K follower base and then have like 30 people liking their tweets and their engagements are like super low. And it's like, that only happens because you're grifting your way into a following. And like, that's a way to do it in the industry. Like, people do that. It is successful. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like it doesn't work for some people. But Jason has been my mentor. He'll never admit this. Jason has been my mentor for probably the last 3-4 years that I even got into like DevRel. And he told me one thing really early in my career when I first started getting like a couple thousand followers. He said, listen, dude, like, you're not going to have a problem with this, but I want you to hear, like, people are going to, if you're an asshole, people are going to know. Like, you can put on as much of a show as you want. You can tweet only the right things. Something is going to happen and the real you is going to show at some point and people are going to be really disappointed. So one of the things I built into my brand really early was like, you're never going to get me on a stream and be like, wow, why does he talk like that? You're going to be like, oh, that's exactly the Dom that I was expecting, even more so.
It's genuine, right? Like I just said about like getting your followers, you want the people that you are getting feedback from and talking with to be genuine back to you, but you want to show yourself as this person that's the same no matter where you're at.
Yep.
And completely.
I think the really nice part is you can support them back, right? Like, they are following you, and like, we need that as a DXE,
100%.
but we can 100%, like, you're having an issue, I'm going to you first because like, you have brought me to where I am too. So it's like a bonding thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to pull a little bit back and go back to actually like starting building these communities and find out, like, I know you said you're the Discord person. So like, what are some of the tools that you're using to build communities that you think are the right steps to take to start building communities?
Yeah. So I actually started, bootcamp was in Slack. And so I had felt the pains of what trying to grow a community in Slack can feel like. A lot of people are still there. They want to stay stubbornly there, and they're going to realize very soon how much they continue to hate themselves for doing so. I'm telling you right now, disclaimer, Slack is not for communities. Like, if you're building your community in Slack, good for you. Eventually, you're going to see the light and come over to a better platform. I don't think Discord is the answer to everything either. Like, I still think, like, you still can't publicly index conversation in Discord.
That's my biggest complaint.
But like, I like that. Like,
if they
I don't want all of my conversation to be, if I'm in a community, I want my conversations in the community. Not that I'm talking about anything like wild that can't be online, but like, I don't want every single thing I'm saying within a community of people that I trust to be out in the wild. I think it would be cool to be able to turn on channels to be indexable.
If we could turn on the new forums, just those, like, have that public, that would be
new forums, the new home. I'm gonna get too caught up in Discord stuff, so let me backtrack to the original question. Discord is definitely my mainstay. I think that there's also platforms like Meetup that just don't fit the bill anymore, right? Like Meetup. In a time where everything was in person, Meetup did the job of being there for discoverability. But like, I think a self-hosted route, a lot of the people that use Meetup use it for discoverability and to be able to track like, the attendance of their events. I think self-hosted is the way to go in that scenario. Like, scrape your Discord events, put them on a website, create a little database that captures attendees for you, and you're on the road. Like, the more in-house you can make the things that you're building, the more it's easy to be able to do more fun things. When you're controlled by the constraints of the platforms that you're using, you're in a really weird spot. So I definitely like self-hosted for like instead of a meetup. Discord is just right for communities right now. There could be something that comes out that's better, but as of right now, there is nothing better, in my opinion, than using Discord.
Yeah, I totally agree with that too. And I've seen communities that are in Discord use things like Luma and then do a Zoom call. And I just feel like it almost even like separates you from where your community's at. I feel like you've got to go to where your community's at.
Yeah, and like, listen, I hear the pain points of Discord. Like, I've been building inside of it for so long. I use it as a gamer. Like, that was the only reason. Like, people were like, "Dude, how do you know Discord so well?" I'm like, "Because I'm a freaking nerd, my man. Like, I'm out here nerding. What are you saying?" So, I had already had a lot of experience, like with friends, like building channels and roles just to screw around with my friends. Like, I'd give certain roles to friends who could like kick people from the voice channel from time. Like, it was just fun stuff. Like, playing around inside of Discord that taught me a lot about how to use it. And then when I started building professionally, like communities for Discord, I just learned a lot about all of their moderation features, which are amazing. The ability to build in features that you'd want through bots and their API is really fantastic. And then there's still some work to do on the gathering front. Like, I think right now the max people you can have in a screen share session is 50.
It was 25 the last I heard.
It was 25, and then during the pandemic, they jumped it to 50. They doubled it, which was dope. But I was actually talking to Matt Pocock recently because we wanted to do a TypeScript thing for the Jamstack Discord. And he was like, what if I just, and you can do this with like certain cameras, you can just have your cam link be a desktop screen so that you're not actually sharing anything. And that actually removes the limit of how many people can be inside of a voice channel at once, I'm pretty sure.
That's a great tip. Hot take.
Yeah, there's ways to get around it. I shouldn't have to do that is kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't want to have to do that. At that point, it's like I might as well go and stream on a platform, right? Like, I might as well just go. If we really want to open it up to the public, like, let's just stream on a platform. But like, then if I stream on a platform, I can create an event. I can create a channel for that platform. So like, we can have this controlled conversation going on at the same time as the event that's going on, which, we have these chats, like when you use something like StreamYard, right? Like, then you have to keep up with like 4 different platforms worth of chat. Like, I've got on the side screen right now, just YouTube and Twitch, right? Just to see who's on what. Imagine just having a singular space inside of the Discord that's for your community that you can, sure, people can still show up in the chats and you're still going to have to pay attention to them, but like a much more controlled, history-driven conversation can happen inside of your community.
This is my problem with Twitter Spaces too, is that the conversation is like separate. You can't do it on desktop and
I love things out of Twitter Spaces because I feel like the introverts of the world, they don't want to be on camera. They don't want the pressure, and like they come and talk, and I find that amazing.
Even just voice is pressuring for a lot lot of honestly.
Yeah, totally. I don't want to miss a couple comments. So when you were talking about being yourself, Anthony Honorato, as someone who
what's up, Ant?
run into years ago, that's so refreshing. So that was a comment about you being you. So.
Yeah, he's actually somebody I knew from just like around town from friends of friends. He actually just started in his software journey. So hats off to you, Ant.
Nice. Huge. Congrats.
And then this guy, I don't
Doppelganger.
Wait, is that me?
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, right? Is that you?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you go back to the other view where my name is, that's me. I am M. Hartington. So
I totally missed that.
I'm not understanding what he means.
That's true.
I think that's everybody report his account. I think he is a fake account trying to sell you NFTs in DMs. So be careful for that other M. Hartington. He's a stinker.
That other one can crush at karaoke though. I gotta say.
I haven't heard him sing karaoke.
Months ago,
we have hugged and rubbed beards, so I know he has a phenomenal beard.
I think we need a duet.
Yeah.
What, me and him?
Yeah, duet.
People would be fun. So the first time I actually met him, we were at Render, and they kept trying to give me his speaker badge. So like when I walked in, they were like, "Oh, like, dude, it's so good to like meet you finally. Like the speaker's, over there." I'm like, "What?" And then I met him, and like we're talking, and people are walking up. Are you guys brothers? Like, I'm like, yes, that's my brother. Obviously, now he's just a spam account, but it is what it is.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, we're so far
Family
off.
issues.
Like, I always mess it up. What is it? Rabbit hole? Did we decide that?
Rabbit hole is
We're deep
We're
in the
down
a
rabbit hole.
saying.
I've opened a few rabbit holes at this point. So do you want me to
Penny
back it
froze.
up? I can bring back the Discord community conversation.
Tangents. There, Nick helped us out.
Tangents are good.
Tangents.
Tangents are nice. So I think we covered starting a community. I think we covered
There is
DXE.
some extra stuff I wanted to talk about, because if there are people in here that want to start their own communities, like, focus on how are you going to make it safe for everybody, establish a really strong COC and actually adhere to it. Don't just go and copy someone else's good COC and
Code
be
of
like,
conduct.
but we're safe. Like, I've got one. No, you have to enforce it. One of the things that I learned very early being a part of Party Corgi with Chris Biscardi is he showed me how even when it's uncomfortable, you have to still do it. Like, there are so many times that he has shown me the path of moderation in such a distinct way that he's completely changed my outlook on how, like, what safety does mean to a community. So, like, I don't care what you're building inside of, what community you're creating. If you're not worried about like, keeping people safe, and B, making sure that people that don't look like you can come in and have conversations, like, that is what you need to be focused on. Like, a lot of these other communities that build up these really great names and have so many people joining also have 30 million white dudes having conversations with themselves. And that just goes to show me, like, people don't feel comfortable that don't look like you coming and having conversation in your community spaces. And that could be anybody. I've had that, my own issue with that. Over, it's not exempt from me just because I know that it's a fact. Like, because people that look like me are going to gravitate to me, that is going to be something that I have to actively work on to make sure that other people have the door open as well. So that's like a really, like, that's my last piece, but like, those are the two things you need to focus on when building a community, and stop worrying about the number, right? Like, don't care about having hundreds of thousands of people. Even when you have those people in your Discord or in your communities, you are going to have maybe 10 of them that talk. Yeah. Lurkers are a huge part of everybody's community.
This is maybe an aside and not something that, I don't know, but we've had this conversation because of spelt sirens. Like, women and non-binary people saying we need more women and non-binary people can sometimes not have the effect you want it to have. So is having these secluded communities for those people, is that actually benefiting that as a whole? I just want to get your take, not that you may have had experience with this, but like, having that section of safe space for people, is that actually just segregating us, or is that allowing us space to grow?
I think that should 100% be built in, but I think you need to build that in with somebody who is able to actively, again, moderate and continue to be an active, like, conversationalist inside of these closed off spaces. Like, I don't think that I should ever go and create a space for non-binary folks and then I'm the one that's moderating conversation in there, right? Like, that's an unsafe space. You are creating an unsafe space by default with that. So I think that, one of the big things that a lot of people underestimate is you need to spend time building out people who don't look like you on your moderation team and on your admin and support team, because those people are going to be the ones that teach you the lessons that you're never going to see. As a straight white male myself, like, I am still learning day by day, the microaggressions and the things that I say, right? Like, I still say you guys, like, that's an East Coast thing. Like, use guys is a big part of our slang. And it's something that I actively think about. It's something that I actively work on. And at first I was like, oh, like, it can't be that big of a deal. And the more people that I met that were telling me otherwise that didn't look like me, I was like, okay, I need to shut the hell up. It is a big deal. And there needs to be a space for people to bring up issues like that aren't public, and not needing to go directly to a DM with somebody. It's so much nicer when you have a community of 100 people and 10 of them are non-binary, and they want to have discussions about these things that they don't want to be as public about, because they don't want to have to run up against the people who are going to clash with them. And if you ever see that in public and you are having that type of community built, that is when I was talking about the Chris Biscardi stuff. Like, you need to act on that and make sure that it's public, that they know that you're watching and that that's not okay, that those levels of things are not okay. A lot of people like to take it to DM to not be, to not create a ruckus and create the problem. But like, it's not so much for the person who you're reprimanding. It's for the person that you're defending and supporting. They need to know that not only are you willing to go out on a limb and make the defense case for them, but you're also willing to do it in a way that shows your public support.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to like the creating the ball of safety. And so to TLDR, yeah, I do believe that those spaces are really helpful, but you have to be very intentional about how you're going to support them when you do something like that.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And going back to what you were saying about Party Corgi and learning from not saying that too, it's if you're on the other side of that, receiving that information, you have to be willing to work on it. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to change right away. It's not something that it's part of your personality. Like you said, you grew up saying that.
Yep.
I did as well. And it's something that you just have to be intentional about.
Yeah.
And
they need to know that you're trying. And most people aren't going to jump down your throat. Like everybody is always making it this big thing. Like, like I can't even do this now because of that or whatever. And it's like most of the people that I've ever interacted with that are correcting me or educating me have done it in a way where they're like, yeah, like I just would rather you not say that. And this or that, like I've never felt like I was being like punished for being wrong. Yeah. And don't be wrong. Cancel culture is a real thing. Like, and you know what? Some of you mofos should be canceled. So I don't care. That is what it is. You deserve to be reprimanded for stupid shit that you say online. And that goes back to, again, what I was saying earlier. If you're not willing to be genuine 100% of the time, you're going to slip, sound like an idiot, and then get canceled. Congratulations. You're an idiot. You win the prize. Like, that. But
how do you handle like the level of moderation that you go through in communities though? Like there's certain stances where you're like immediate ban. And then there's other times you're like, whoa. How do you handle like that?
I think a lot of the time, unless it is one of the cool things again is like once you create a moderation group, like a lot of the time in Party Corgi, when something happens, we screenshot it, we bring it to the mod channel and we go, what do y'all think? Yep. This is what I think I should do. What do y'all think? And we get feedback and we get answers and then we respond and act as in kind. But like if somebody's coming in and being like blatantly racist, you're banned. You're kicked. You're out of here. You know what I mean? Like there's
like easy.
I don't want to sit and educate you. It's probably not going to happen. You're going to stay stuck in your ways. Like, and I don't need people in my community having to be the ones that have to deal with that.
We had a situation in the Spelt community where it was something that was like kind of roundabout, not good towards kind of the sirens, like non-binary and other things, and they just kept kind of saying things that were just out of line, and finally we just in the moderation channel talked about it and decided a ban was needed.
This is called the missing stare. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term. Again, I learned that in Party Corgi. A lot of the time microaggressions happen inside of communities that are let go because it's awkward to try and reprimand them on the spot when you know that they're maybe just trying to have a conversation. But the more you do that, the less people are going to want to talk in your community. So like the more microaggressions that you allow X person, X missing stare to make, the less likely folks are going to want to come in and join your conversation. And it goes back to like 90% of your community is going to be lurkers. The best feeling is when a lurker goes, hey, I don't talk here often, but I wanted to let you know how much I enjoy watching the conversation happen here.
Yes.
Like that means we've created a safe environment for those lurkers to start to be able to make those types of conversations inside of your communities. So I think that like if you haven't heard or read up on the missing stare, go and do that. It will literally help you so much when building a community, because so often are you going to have those people who are really helpful and want to be so involved, but don't really have the public ability to build, conversation and friendships without putting someone down, saying something in a weird way that is going to be misconstrued. You can help people like that. Like those people can be moderated to understand, but a lot of the time when it doesn't happen, that's when, again, like Brittany said, you got to make the decision to give them the old booteroni and get them out of there.
I gotta call this out. Tony put it in here. I really like kind of the way he said it. He says, if people don't try to understand the rule, then there has to be a hard line. I don't agree with all the rules, but I love the community. So that tells me like he's willing to follow the rules because of the fact the community's so open.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and Tony's one of those people that I think has seen so much of the growth and progression of Party Corgi, but like also me, like, and what I've done throughout my career and inside of communities, and has been such a huge supporter, and is one of those people that I've watched actively educate me and then also be an educator for others who are coming into the community and may not understand the rules. So that like everyone should have a Tony Alves in their community. He is one of those people that just like shows up and is willing to put in the work on his free time. And that is like one of the biggest things that you can build in a community is the safety for people to want to be involved in that way.
Yeah, that's great.
So shout out to Tony.
I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our Purrfect Picks now, because I have a feeling we got some hot picks in here they're gonna take some like time to unpack. So especially Dom's is up first.
Oh, we're putting mine first?
Yeah, yours is up first because I have a feeling it's gonna take a minute. Maybe. There we go. All right, tell us what this thread's all about, Dom.
So for me, I just read really fast through this thread, so I don't know this person at all, and I hope that they're not an idiot. The one thing that I've felt real complication in is I have no freaking clue what I'm doing when it comes to accounting. So when it comes to like every time I go to work for a company and they're like, we're going to offer you this much shares. I'm like, sick. What the hell does that mean? And I don't know when I'm going to have $150,000 to exercise, but okay, like, let's give it a shot.
I feel like we should break that part down. So the typical offering these days in startup is like, I'll give you 0.1% of the company, and then there's a 1-year cliff, and then a percentage up to 4 years.
It's about 4 years. Yeah, it's usually a 4-year with a 1-year cliff for full vest.
And what
the hell does that even mean?
Yeah,
exactly.
Like what we mean by that, basically, you're gonna get 25% towards that 0.1. But it's not an immediate thing. And this is the hardest part to like understand for people. So you have to go through that full like 4 years to be fully vested. So that's the full timeline. But after that, you also need to make sure your shares aren't getting diluted by other investors. And there's all this stuff into it.
And you're basically waiting for them to IPO or be bought. Because that is a way that you get the money without having to go and exercise. And by exercise, that means buying the ability to sell the stock. Because when you get the vest, you get brought in at a certain strike price, which say the stock is worth $6 to buy to you, but to the public when it's buyable, it's $18, right? Like you got in at a very early level, so you can buy it for cheaper and then sell it at the price that it's selling at. So that's where a lot of people like, in tech get a lot of their money from, is being able to, have the capability to buy at the strike price, sell at the selling price, or wait for your company to get acquired like Figma did and make a shit ton of money without having to do a damn thing, which is sick. Like that's what I want. But it's really confusing. It's really hard stuff to know.
Let's talk about like your 150K though. Like this is the part that I think gets a lot of people. So you've experienced where you've kind of come out of startup land and you get so usually you have to exercise within, some are 6 months, some are a year. Builder was amazing. They were like 10 years or 12 years, something huge. So what's that when you say I can't afford 150K? What does that actually mean?
Because you have to be able to buy, like that strike price is how much each stock is going to cost you. And if you have, say, 350 shares, right, and it's at $6 per share, to be able to exercise your full right of buying those, you have to have the money up front to buy it at the strike price. Your whole goal is to buy, like, and again, I am not a financial advisor. Do not listen to anything I'm saying without
We're just trying to set up this tweet, folks.
Please never, ever, ever be like, well, Demetrius said to do this.
Don't do that.
Disclaimer, if you do it, you're on your own. Good luck. I've never done it myself, so this is only stuff that I've read and been educated on. But yeah, if you basically end up needing, and the capital gains when you do something like that, the IRS is here to take that bread. They want your money. So like my best advice is go pay someone who knows how to do this shit to do it for you. Unless you're educated in a way that you feel like you can handle it on your own, more power to you. Give me a DM and tell me what the hell I should be doing. But other than that, why do people pay us as developers? Because we know what the hell we're doing sometimes. And we really get paid to learn otherwise.
This tweet thread actually says that they partnered with their friends at Compound, which I don't know what that is, but also to DM this other person if they have questions.
You see that big exclamation, go up a little bit?
Just disclaimer.
Wait, hold on. This is not financial advice. So just so that nobody can clip me and be like, but Dom, you said on this stream. No. No.
This is just
not financial advice.
It's for fun. It's for fun. That's it.
Because people are going to blame me and I'm going to blame you.
The big thing, like, I want to clarify for people is that when you're getting an offer, and startups are all new to me. I worked in enterprise for 12 years plus before kind of venturing into this startup land stuff. And when you get an offer and they're like 0.1%, that's probably going to mean $10 million out the other side. Like, start thinking realistically. Why
I'm like, where's the money now?
Give you $10 million. Okay.
Where's the money right now?
I don't need future fake money.
I ain't worried about no total comp. What are you paying me yearly? Give me my money.
Oh, man.
It's my money and I need it now.
I have a question.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
After the pick. Or do you have something else on the pick?
We were just going to run this. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Okay. Dom, what games are you playing?
Video games?
Yes.
Shoo. Okay, so I just recently, I'm gonna show off my baby. Hold on. I recently got my Steam Deck.
Oh,
so
yeah,
if nobody knows
what
what the Steam Deck, this thing is it. It's expensive as hell. So, I appreciate that not everybody may be able to enjoy in that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, like, as a kid who, I played mobile gaming, like Game Boy Advance, a ton of my life. Like, I was just always on the move with my parents, so I would just be gaming it up in the back seat. That is the most insane piece of technology I've played with in a while. It is literally one of the coolest things because not only do you get your entire Steam library, so like all the single player games that I never play because I'm always playing with people online, I now can play on that. Wow. But it's an emulator's dream. So like I've been playing PS2 games. I have 007 GoldenEye on there from the N64. Like it is so much fun. I've recently been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, .hack GU, Last Code, and I've been playing. Recently I just picked up Overwatch 2 again, but that thing
was pretty big too. And you were saying
it's so light.
Hawaii that like you had a controller you brought and you could bring more than one controller and people could play with you.
Yeah, so it has Bluetooth on it.
Perfect
and I have stuff. I'll post I actually did I think I have it on Twitter. I'll find it while we're talking about the rest of the picks, but I got it's like a 1.2 inch ultra thin monitor, 16 inches OLED. And I basically, so on American Airlines, they have like the iPad clip that you have. So I literally iPad clip. I got a new Anchor 45 watt battery. And the monitor itself has two USB-C plugs. So you plug the one into the Anchor, the one into the Steam Deck, and it actually charges through. So you can keep playing the Steam Deck. So I played on a 6-hour flight the whole time.
Oh my God.
And basically the Steam Deck itself has a Bluetooth. So I literally put the Steam Deck into the pocket of the chair, had a PS5 controller, and was just leaned back playing my game on my monitor in front. This old dude next to me was like,
do you travel?
What are you doing? He was like, you work in tech, don't you?
Oh my God.
I'm like, yes, sir, I do.
Oh my goodness. My pick's nowhere near as exciting as either.
I knew asking Dom about games would go really well for this section. So
I put one in for Courier. Since we're working at AppRight for all these integrations, like I'm in charge of our integrations, and it's crazy, like all the people that we can tie into. So this was one that popped up on my radar. I find it pretty cool. You can do. I gotta find the little screen. So you can do like a bunch of stuff: Postmark, Slack, Twilio, SendGrid. You can tie it all together, but why can't I find it? There's templating. Here we go. So the templating in this is bananas good. I love it. So definitely check that out. My second pick is Hacktober. If you don't know, you're probably living under a rock at this point. So Hacktoberfest is on by DigitalOcean. There's probably others running it, but I want to do my pick for the actual website for Hacktoberfest. It is unbelievable. All the little Easter eggs, like just the layout, this whole thing is just sweet. When you start hacking, it takes you into all of your like PRs and things you're doing for Hacktoberfest as well and tracks them.
I screenshotted that hover thing for my Twitter profile picture.
Yeah, that.
Colby Fayok told me I should do a Cloudinary tutorial on that filter.
Colby is always finding a way. I love that.
We love Colby. What's his jelly thing?
Space jelly.
Space jelly. Go check out Space Jelly.
Y'all want to see my new puppy? Wait, can I get?
We do. So cute.
Look at him in his little playpen.
Oh my gosh.
I have no idea what he is, so don't ask, but he's cute. I
When
literally
he's not
asked the
pooping on
adoption
your
center. I was like,
carpet.
"What is this?" And they were like, "A dog.
Mutt.
Please take this." I was like,
A dog
Okay.
made from other dogs. Brett, you're up next.
Oh, okay. You gotta. There you go. Oh, Web Unleashed. So conference coming up end of October 24th through the 26th. I do not know what day my talk is going to be on, but I am doing starting with Svelte. There are so many good speakers, like Rachel Angel.
Hey, Tracy Lee.
Like, yeah, West Boss. Like I
Boss.
can't with all the people that are at this conference. It's a lot of imposter syndrome, but the talks, yeah, right there.
You're there for a reason, Brittany.
Right? I got to keep
there
telling
for a
myself
reason.
that. But starting with Svelte is the name of my talk. Like, come check out Svelte if you haven't had time to like see what it's about and check it out. And the other pick that I had, Alex just jumped over, so it's fine.
I did? There's
VeeConf
another?
is next Tuesday. Just
Oh.
go to VeeConf.
Go to
It's
VeeConf.
free. 20,000 people are going to be there, which is bonkers.
Hang out with your best friends, your
Now
closest
that
friends.
I'm gonna tell you right now,
All the
we only have a little bit left. That is hard to do. When you do an online conference inside of Discord, we did that with GraphQL Summit, and we probably had like a quarter of that. It takes a lot of like intention, and I imagine the Veet team is gonna absolutely smash it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of good folks over there.
Matthias Patrick's been the one setting all of this up, which I can't even imagine doing all of that, but he's been incredible.
SvelteKit runs off Veet now, right?
Yes. I mean, pretty much every framework runs off Veet except Next.
They'll get there. We'll see. Well, Dom, thank you for carrying the show and doing all the dancing. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
Please
Thanks
come
for
back.
I'm not connecting my heart. Jeez.
Yeah, I saw a lot of struggle there, so I wasn't gonna say anything, but you know, you did first, so I'm in. Thank you all so much for having me. Everybody that tuned in, I saw a bunch of people that I absolutely love in here, so thanks for coming out and listening to me jabber on.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you so much.
Come back
for coming.
again.
It's a great time.
Love y'all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bye.